When 12-year-old Marcus Jordan missed the game-winning shot in the championship game, he ran to his father's car and broke down crying. His dad, basketball legend Michael Jordan, found him there, shoulders shaking, tears streaming down his face. Marcus thought his world was ending. He thought he'd never be good enough. He thought he'd let everyone down. But what Michael did next changed everything. Instead of telling Marcus it was okay, instead of giving him a simple pep talk, Michael looked at his son and said something that shocked him. "I need to tell you a story. Tomorrow I'm taking you somewhere. Just you and me. What I'm going to show you, what I'm going to tell you, it's something I've never shared with anyone. Not your mom, not your brothers, no one." The next morning, they drove for 2 hours to a mysterious place from Michael's past. And in that place, Michael revealed a secret he'd been hiding for 30 years. A secret about the day he got cut from his high school basketball team. A secret about the tears he cried. And most importantly, a secret about the advice he gave himself that day. Advice that made him the greatest basketball player of all time. But here's the thing. The advice wasn't what you think. It wasn't just work harder or never give up. It was something deeper. Something that took Michael 30 years to fully understand. Something that could change your life forever. Watch this whole video to discover the complete advice that Michael Jordan gave his crying son. The advice that will give you chills. Because if you stop watching before the end, you'll only get half the lesson. And trust me, the second half is the part that changes everything. Let's go back to that night in the parking lot where everything began. Marcus Jordan sat alone in the back seat of his father's black SUV, his forehead pressed against the cold window. His basketball uniform stuck to his skin, damp with sweat and failure. The gym lights were still on behind him, and he could hear the muffled sounds of the winning team celebrating inside. His chest hurt, not from running up and down the court for 32 minutes. This was a different kind of pain, the kind that squeezed his heart and made it hard to breathe. 10 seconds left, down by 2 points, the ball in his hands. Marcus closed his eyes, but that made it worse. He could see the shot over and over again, the way the ball left his fingertips. The arc through the air, the way it bounced off the rim once, twice, and fell away. Game over. Season over. The tears came before he could stop them. Hot and angry, they rolled down his cheeks and dripped onto his jersey. He wiped them away quickly, then checked the parking lot through the foggy window. His father was still inside the gym, probably signing autographs. Everyone always wanted Michael Jordan's autograph. Marcus buried his face in his hands and let himself cry harder. Out here, alone in the dark, no one could see. No one could know that Marcus Jordan, son of the greatest basketball player who ever lived, was crying like a baby because he missed a stupid shot. "You're such a loser," he whispered to himself. Dad would never have missed that shot. He would have made it. He always made it. The car door opened. Marcus's head snapped up. He wiped his eyes furiously, trying to erase the evidence. But it was too late. His father stood there, tall and unmistakable, even in the dim parking lot light. Michael Jordan's face was hard to read. He wasn't angry. He wasn't disappointed. He just looked at Marcus with eyes that seemed to see everything. "Hey, Dad," Marcus said quickly, his voice cracking. "We can go. Sorry for making you wait." Michael didn't move. He didn't start the car. He didn't say, "It's okay," or "You played a good game," like the other parents were probably saying to their kids. Instead, he climbed into the back seat and sat next to his son. They sat in silence for a long moment. Marcus stared at his shoes. His father stared straight ahead. "I know what you're feeling right now," Michael finally said. His voice was quiet, softer than Marcus had ever heard it. "I'm fine," Marcus lied. "No, you're not, and that's okay." Michael turned to face him. "Marcus, look at me." Marcus lifted his head. His eyes were still red and puffy. "I need to tell you something," Michael said, "but not here, and not tonight." Marcus frowned, confused. "What do you mean?" "Tomorrow I'm taking you somewhere. Just you and me. We're going on a drive." "Where?" Michael's jaw tightened, like he was deciding whether to say something important. "To a place I haven't been in a long time. A place that changed my life when I was not much older than you." "What place?" "You'll see." Michael put his hand on Marcus's shoulder. "But I need you to understand something. What I'm going to show you tomorrow, what I'm going to tell you, it's something I've never shared with anyone. Not your mom. Not your brothers. Not the reporters who've asked me a million questions. No one. Marcus's tears had stopped. Now he was just confused and curious. Why not? Because I was waiting for the right time. The right person? Michael's eyes were intense, almost sad. And tonight, when I saw you sitting in this car, crying your heart out over a basketball game, I knew. You're ready to hear it. Hear what? Michael started to answer, then stopped himself. He shook his head slowly. Not tonight, tomorrow. I promise, Marcus. Tomorrow I'm going to tell you something that will change how you see everything. How you see basketball. How you see losing. How you see yourself. But Dad, tomorrow, Michael repeated firmly. He climbed out of the back seat and got behind the wheel. Right now, we're going home. Get some rest. Tomorrow morning, pack a bag. We might be gone overnight. As they pulled out of the parking lot, Marcus watched Roosevelt Middle School disappear behind them. The gym lights were turning off now. The parking lot was emptying. Everyone was going home. But Marcus couldn't stop thinking about his father's words. A secret no one knows. A place that changed his life. Something that will change how you see everything. What could it possibly be? Marcus leaned back in his seat, his mind racing. The missed shot still hurt. The loss still stung. But now underneath all that pain, something else was growing. Curiosity. His father had a secret, and tomorrow Marcus would finally learn what it was. That morning, Marcus had woken up feeling like a champion. It was championship day. The Roosevelt Ravens versus the Lincoln Lions for the middle school district title. Marcus had circled this date on his calendar 3 months ago. He dreamed about this game every single night. Today was the day he'd prove himself. He sat at the breakfast table, eating cereal but tasting nothing. His stomach was full of butterflies doing backflips. His older brother, Julian, walked by and ruffled his hair. Big game today, little man. You nervous? No, Marcus lied. His mother, Juanita, kissed the top of his head. Just have fun out there. That's all that matters. But Marcus knew that wasn't true. Winning mattered. Proving himself mattered. Being worthy of his last name mattered. When his father drove him to school that morning, Michael had said only one thing. Play your game, Marcus. Not anyone else's. Just yours. Marcus had nodded, but he wasn't sure what that meant. His game. He was still figuring out what his game even was. By 3 o'clock, the Roosevelt Gymnasium was packed. Marcus stood in the locker room with his teammates, pulling on his number 7 jersey. He'd chosen number 7 because his father had worn 23, and he didn't want people making comparisons. But it didn't matter. They made comparisons anyway. His best friend and teammate, Elijah Chen, sat on the bench beside him, lacing up his sneakers. Elijah was the shooting guard, tall, skinny, with black hair that stuck up in every direction. They'd been friends since 3rd grade, back before anyone knew Marcus was that Marcus Jordan. You ready? Elijah asked. Yeah, you. Dude, I'm terrified, Elijah admitted with a nervous laugh. But at least no one's watching me. All eyes are on you. Marcus's stomach tightened. He knew Elijah was right. Coach Patterson stood up and clapped his hands. Listen up, Ravens. This is what we've worked for all season. Lincoln is tough, but so are we. Stick to the game plan, play as a team, and leave everything on that court. Now let's go show them what Roosevelt basketball is all about. The team erupted in cheers, but as they ran out of the locker room and into the bright lights of the gym, Marcus felt the weight settle onto his shoulders. The bleachers were overflowing. Parents, students, teachers, everyone had come to watch. And in the front row, impossible to miss, sat Michael Jordan. He wore a simple black jacket and jeans, but it didn't matter. Everyone knew he was there. Marcus heard the whispers immediately. That's Michael Jordan. Number 7, that's his son. Bet he's going to dominate. Look at those jeans. If he doesn't win, that'll be embarrassing. Marcus tried to block it out. He focused on warming up, taking practice shots. But every time he looked at the stands, he caught someone staring. Every time he touched the ball, the gym got a little quieter, like everyone was holding their breath to see what he'd do. Just play your game, his father had said. But what if his game wasn't good enough? The game was a war. Lincoln came out strong, hitting three-pointers and playing aggressive defense. By halftime, they were up by 6 points. In the locker room, Coach Patterson drew up new plays on the whiteboard. "Marcus, I need you to be more aggressive. Take your shots. Don't hesitate." Marcus nodded, but his hands were shaking. The third quarter was better. Marcus found his rhythm. He drove to the basket and scored. He dished assists to Elijah, who hit 2 big shots. By the end of the third quarter, Roosevelt had fought back. The score was tied, 40-40. The fourth quarter was chaos. Lincoln scored. Roosevelt answered. Back and forth, back and forth. With 2 minutes left, Roosevelt took the lead, 48-46. The crowd was on their feet screaming, but Lincoln didn't quit. Their star player, a kid named Derek, who was already 6 feet tall in 8th grade, hit a jump shot with 30 seconds left. Tied again, 48-48. Then Derek stole the ball and scored on a fast break. Lincoln 50, Roosevelt 48. 20 seconds left. Coach Patterson called timeout. The team huddled around him, breathing hard, sweat dripping onto the floor. "Okay, here's what we're doing," Coach said, drawing on his clipboard. "Marcus brings the ball up. Elijah, you set a screen on the right. Marcus, you read the defense. If they collapse on you, kick it out. If you've got space, take the shot." Everyone looked at Marcus. The referee blew the whistle. Time to go. Marcus walked back onto the court. His legs felt like rubber. His heart hammered so hard he could hear it in his ears. He glanced at the stands and caught his father's eyes. Michael gave him a small nod. Elijah inbounded the ball. Marcus caught it and dribbled past half court. 15 seconds. The Lincoln defense swarmed him. He saw Elijah set the screen. Marcus used it, creating just a tiny bit of space. 10 seconds. He drove toward the basket. 2 defenders slid over. 8 seconds. Elijah was open in the corner, calling for the ball. But Marcus saw the lane. He could make this shot. He had to make this shot. 5 seconds. Marcus pulled up just inside the three-point line. The same spot where his father had made 1,000 game winners. He jumped, released the ball, watched it spin through the air. The gym held its breath. The ball hit the front of the rim. It bounced up, hit the back of the rim, bounced again, and fell away. The buzzer sounded. The Lincoln bench exploded in celebration. Their fans rushed the court, screaming and jumping. Marcus stood frozen at the free throw line. The ball rolled past his feet. He stared at the basket, unable to move, unable to breathe. "You missed. You had the shot, and you missed." Elijah jogged over and put his arm around Marcus's shoulder. "Hey, man, you played great. It was a good look." But Marcus couldn't hear him. All he could hear was the voice in his head, repeating over and over. "You're not like him. You'll never be like him." Coach Patterson knelt beside him. "You played your heart out, son. Held your head up. That shot could have gone either way. I'm proud of you." Marcus nodded numbly, but he wasn't listening. His eyes found his father in the stands. Michael was standing now, watching. His face showed no emotion, no disappointment, no pride. Just watching? Marcus grabbed his warm-up jacket and ran. Through the handshake line with Lincoln. Through the crowd. Out the gym doors, across the hallway. Out to the parking lot. He didn't stop until he reached his father's car. He climbed into the back seat and finally let himself fall apart. Marcus cried until there were no tears left. He cried for the missed shot, for the championship that slipped away, for letting down his teammates, his coach, his school. But most of all, he cried because he'd had his chance to be like his father. And he'd failed. When Michael finally got into the car 20 minutes later, Marcus's eyes were swollen and his throat was raw. His father didn't say anything. He just drove home in silence. That night, Marcus couldn't sleep. He lay in bed, replaying the shot over and over. What if he'd passed to Elijah? What if he'd taken one more dribble? What if he'd shot it just a little softer, a little higher? What if he wasn't meant to play basketball at all? The knock on his bedroom door came at 6 in the morning. Marcus groaned and pulled his pillow over his head. "Go away." "Get up," his father's voice said through the door. "Get dressed. We're leaving in 15 minutes. Marcus sat up, confused and groggy. "Leaving? Where?" "You'll see. Wear comfortable clothes and pack an overnight bag." Dad, I don't want to. 15 minutes. Marcus. His father's footsteps walked away down the hall. Marcus dragged himself out of bed. His body ached from yesterday's game. His eyes still felt puffy. He pulled on jeans and a hoodie, then threw some clothes into his backpack. He had no idea where they were going, but he knew his father well enough not to argue. When he came downstairs, his mother was in the kitchen making coffee. She smiled at him, but it was a sad smile. "Have a good trip, baby," she said, kissing his forehead. "Your dad needs to show you something important." "Do you know where we're going?" She nodded. "I do, and I think it's exactly what you need right now." That wasn't helpful at all. Michael was already in the car, engine running. Marcus climbed into the passenger seat, and they pulled out of the driveway as the sun was just starting to rise. They drove in silence for the first hour. Marcus stared out the window, watching the suburbs give way to highways, then to countryside. Trees and fields rolled past. The radio played quietly, old jazz music that his father loved. Marcus wanted to ask where they were going. He wanted to ask what this big secret was, but something about his father's face, serious and focused, made him stay quiet. Finally, after 2 hours, Marcus couldn't take it anymore. "Dad, are you mad at me?" Michael glanced at him, surprised. "Mad at you? Why would I be mad at you?" "Because I lost. Because I missed the shot." His father was quiet for a long moment. Then he said, "Marcus, I'm not mad. I'm the opposite of mad." "What does that mean?" "It means that when I saw you crying in that car last night, I saw something I haven't seen in a long time. I saw myself." Marcus frowned. "But you never lost. You won everything." Michael's jaw tightened. "That's what people think. And that's why we're taking this drive." He took an exit off the highway. The sign read, "Wilmington, 15 miles. Marcus sat up straighter. Wilmington. He knew that name from somewhere. Then it hit him. "Wait, Wilmington, North Carolina? Isn't that where I grew up, where I went to high school?" "Yes." They drove through a small downtown area. Old brick buildings, local shops, a restaurant called Mama Dips that looked like it had been there for 50 years. Everything felt slower here, quieter than the city they'd left behind. Michael turned down a familiar street, and Marcus realized his father knew exactly where he was going. He'd driven this route 1,000 times before. They pulled into a parking lot, and Marcus's breath caught. In front of them stood an old high school. The sign read, Laney High School. The building was brick, 2 stories with a gym attached to one side. It looked tired and worn, like it had seen better days. Michael turned off the engine. "This is where I went to school," he said quietly. "This is where everything began." Marcus looked at the building, then at his father. "Why are we here?" Michael opened his car door. "Because I need to show you something I've never shown anyone. Something that happened in that gym that changed my entire life." He got out of the car and started walking toward the entrance. Marcus scrambled to follow. "What happened?" His father stopped at the door and turned to face him. His eyes were serious, almost haunted. "The day I became Michael Jordan," he said, "and the worst day of my life. They were the same day." He pulled open the door. Marcus's heart pounded as he followed his father inside. The hallways of Laney High School smelled like old floor polish and memories. Marcus walked beside his father, their footsteps echoing on the linoleum floor. The walls were covered with faded photographs of past sports teams, debate clubs, and homecoming queens. Some of the pictures were so old they were in black and white. Michael stopped in front of one particular photo. It showed a basketball team from decades ago, young faces smiling at the camera. He stared at it for a long moment, then kept walking. "Where are we going?" Marcus whispered. He wasn't sure why he was whispering. The school felt like a church, quiet and sacred and full of ghosts. "The gym first," Michael said. "Then I'll show you where it happened." They pushed through double doors and suddenly they were standing in the gymnasium. It was smaller than Marcus expected, much smaller than the gyms where his father had won championships. The bleachers were old and wooden. The paint on the walls was peeling. The scoreboard looked like it was held together with duct tape and prayers. But Michael stood in the middle of the court like he was standing in a cathedral. "I made a phone call yesterday," he said. "Called in a favor so we could come here. The principal remembered me." He smiled, but it was a sad smile. "Everyone remembers me now. But back then, I was just another kid trying to make the team. He walked slowly to center court and stopped. His eyes scanned the gym, the baskets, the bleachers, the banners hanging from the rafters. None of those banners had his name on them. "I spent 3 years in this gym," Michael said. 3 years that built everything I became. But it started with the worst day of my life." Marcus moved closer. "What happened?" Michael took a deep breath. "Come with me." They left the gym and walked down another hallway. Michael stopped in front of a door marked, "Boys' Locker Room." "This is it," he said. He opened the door. The locker room was empty and smelled like old sweat and cleaning products. Rows of metal lockers lined the walls. Michael walked to one in particular and stopped. "Number 23. "This was mine," he said, running his hand over the scratched metal. "When I was a sophomore, 15 years old." He sat down on the bench in front of the locker. Marcus sat beside him. "You know what people think when they hear my name?" Michael asked. "That you're the greatest basketball player ever." "Right. They think I was born great, born talented, born to win. But that's not how it happened." He looked at Marcus. "Do you know what happened to me when I was 15 years old in this locker room?" Marcus shook his head. "I'll tell you, but first you need to understand something. I was short back then, 5'10", skinny. I wasn't the strongest kid. I wasn't the fastest. But I loved basketball more than anything in the world." Michael stood up and started pacing. "The summer before sophomore year, I practiced every single day. My best friend was a kid named Leroy Smith. He was taller than me, better than me, but I didn't care. I just wanted to make the varsity team. I worked so hard, Marcus, harder than I'd ever worked at anything." "Did you make it?" Michael stopped pacing. His face darkened. "Tryouts were in October. 3 days of running drills, playing games, showing the coaches what we could do. I gave it everything I had, every ounce of energy, every bit of skill I possessed. When it was over, the coach said he'd post the roster on Monday morning." He walked back to the bench and sat down heavily. "That weekend was the longest weekend of my life. I couldn't sleep, couldn't eat. I just kept imagining my name on that list. Monday morning, I woke up at 5 a.m. I was at school by 6:30, waiting for the coach to post the roster." Marcus could hear the pain in his father's voice, even though this had happened decades ago. At 7:15, Coach Herring came out of his office. He was carrying a piece of paper. He walked to a bulletin board right outside this locker room and taped it up. Then he walked away without saying a word. Michael stood and walked to the doorway. He pointed down the hall. The board was right there, 20 feet from where we're sitting. I saw the paper go up, and my heart started racing. Leroy was with me. We both ran to the board at the same time. He paused. Marcus waited, barely breathing. The list was divided into 2 sections, varsity and junior varsity. I looked at the varsity list first, scanned every name. Once, twice, 3 times. "Was your name there?" "No." Michael's voice cracked slightly. "My name wasn't on the varsity list, so I looked at the JV list thinking maybe I'd start there and move up. But Marcus," he turned to face his son, "my name wasn't on that list either." Marcus's eyes went wide. "What?" "I didn't make varsity. I didn't make JV. I got cut completely." Michael's hands clenched into fists. "Leroy Smith's name was on the varsity list. My best friend made the team. I got cut." "But that's impossible. You're Michael Jordan." "I wasn't Michael Jordan yet. I was just Mike, a short, skinny 15-year-old kid who wasn't good enough to make his high school basketball team." Michael walked back and sat beside Marcus. His eyes were distant, reliving that moment. "The coach said I was too small, not strong enough, not skilled enough. There were better players. He suggested I try again next year." "What did you do?" "I stood in that hallway for 10 minutes, just staring at that list. Leroy tried to talk to me, but I couldn't hear him. Other kids walked past, some celebrating, some disappointed. I couldn't move. Couldn't think. Then what happened?" Michael looked at his son with eyes that held years of pain and triumph mixed together. "I walked out of this school, Marcus. I walked to the parking lot. My mom was waiting to pick me up. When I got in the car, she asked me how it went. And his voice caught. He stopped, swallowed hard. I couldn't tell her. I just shook my head. And then I started crying. Right there in the car, in front of my mother. I cried like my world had ended. Marcus felt tears forming in his own eyes. His father, the strongest, greatest, most fearless person he knew, had cried just like Marcus had cried last night. But you became the greatest player ever, Marcus said. So what happened? What changed? Michael stood up. That's what I'm going to show you tomorrow morning. But tonight, we're staying here in Wilmington. There's a hotel down the street. We'll get dinner, and then I'm going to give you something I've carried with me for over 30 years. What is it? A letter. A letter I wrote to myself the night I got cut. The night I made a decision that changed everything. They checked into a small hotel called the Wilmington Inn. It was old but clean, with floral wallpaper and creaky floors. Michael got them a room with 2 beds, and they dropped their bags on the floor. Let's get some food, Michael said. There's a place I used to go to when I was in high school. Best burgers in North Carolina. They walked 3 blocks to a diner called Smithfield's. It had red vinyl booths and black and white checkered floors. A waitress with gray hair and a warm smile greeted them at the door. Well, I'll be, she said, her eyes going wide. Michael Jordan? Is that really you? Michael smiled. Yes, ma'am, it's me. Lord have mercy. I remember when you used to come in here as a skinny teenager. Look at you now. She grabbed 2 menus. And who's this handsome young man? This is my son, Marcus. Well, isn't that something? Sit anywhere you like, sugar. They slid into a booth near the window. The sun was setting, painting the sky orange and pink. Marcus ordered a cheeseburger and fries. Michael ordered the same. While they waited for their food, Marcus worked up the courage to ask the question burning in his mind. Dad, if you got cut from the team, how did you become, you? Michael smiled. That's what tomorrow is for. But tonight, I want to show you something first. He reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out his wallet. It was brown leather, worn smooth from years of use. He opened it carefully and pulled out a small piece of paper, folded into a tiny square. I've carried this with me every single day since I was 15 years old, Michael said. It's been in my wallet through high school, college, the NBA, retirement, everything. I've never shown it to anyone. He placed the folded paper on the table between them. Marcus stared at it. What is it? Open it, read it. With trembling fingers, Marcus unfolded the paper. It was yellowed with age, the creases worn thin from being folded and unfolded countless times. The handwriting was messy, young, written in blue pen that had faded over the decades. Marcus read aloud, his voice quiet. October 15, 1978. Today I got cut from the basketball team. Coach Herring said I'm too small, not good enough. Leroy made varsity. I didn't even make JV. I came home and cried in my room for 2 hours. Mom kept asking if I was okay. I told her I was fine, but I'm not fine. I feel like the biggest failure in the world. Marcus looked up. His father's eyes were glistening. Keep reading, Michael said softly. Marcus continued. But I'm writing this letter to remember this feeling. Not to forget it. Not to let it go. To remember it. They said I wasn't good enough. Maybe they're right. Maybe I'm not good enough today. But I'm going to make sure that every day from now on, I work to become someone they can't ignore. Not for them, not for Coach Herring, not even for Leroy, for me, to prove to myself that I'm more than what anyone says I am. Marcus's throat felt tight. He kept reading. I'm going to use this pain. I'm going to use this hurt. I'm going to use this embarrassment. Every time I want to quit, I'll remember this feeling. Every time I want to sleep in, I'll remember today. Every time I think I can't do something, I'll remember that they said I couldn't make the team. And I'll push harder. I will use this pain as fuel. I will become something great. Not because I want to prove them wrong, because I want to prove myself right. At the bottom of the letter, in the same young handwriting, was one more line. This is my promise. This is my beginning. Mike Jordan. Marcus finished reading. He looked at his father through blurry eyes. You kept this? All these years? Michael nodded. Every championship I won, this letter was in my locker. Every big game, it was in my gym bag. When I gave my Hall of Fame speech, it was in my jacket pocket. When I'm having a bad day, I take it out and read it. Why? Because this letter reminds me that the person I became wasn't born. He was built from pain, built from failure, built from a moment when someone told me I wasn't good enough, and I decided they were wrong. The waitress brought their food, but neither of them moved to eat. Marcus, when I saw you crying in that parking lot yesterday, I saw that 15-year-old kid again, the one who got cut, the one who felt like a failure. And I knew it was time to show you this letter, to show you that even the person people call the greatest started as someone who wasn't good enough. Marcus wiped his eyes with his sleeve. Can I hold it? Michael handed the letter across the table. Marcus held it carefully like it might crumble to dust. This tiny piece of paper had been with his father through everything. Every victory, every defeat, every moment of greatness. Tomorrow morning, Michael said, I'm going to take you back to that gym, and I'm going to show you exactly what I did with that pain, exactly what that letter meant, exactly how I turned the worst day of my life into the beginning of everything. Marcus looked down at the letter again, then back at his father. Did it hurt? Even after you became great? Did you still remember that day? Michael's face grew serious. Marcus, I remember it like it was yesterday. That's the point. You never forget the pain. You use it. You carry it. You let it make you stronger. That night back in the hotel room, Marcus lay in bed unable to sleep. His father was in the other bed, breathing slowly and deeply. Marcus thought about the letter, about his father crying in a car 30 years ago, about the missed shot that had felt like the end of the world just one day ago. Maybe it wasn't the end. Maybe, like his father's rejection, it was just the beginning. Marcus woke to someone shaking his shoulder. Get up. He opened his eyes. The hotel room was still dark. The clock on the nightstand glowed 5:30 a.m. Dad? Marcus groaned. It's so early. I know, get dressed. We need to be somewhere. Where? You'll see. 5 minutes. Michael was already dressed in athletic clothes, sweatpants and a plain gray t-shirt. He looked like he was ready to practice, not talk. Marcus dragged himself out of bed, confused and exhausted. He pulled on jeans and a hoodie, splashed water on his face, and followed his father out to the car. The streets of Wilmington were empty and quiet. The sun hadn't risen yet. Streetlights cast orange glows on the pavement. Michael drove through the sleeping town until they pulled into the familiar parking lot. Laney High School stood silent in the pre-dawn darkness. Why are we here so early? Marcus asked. Michael turned off the engine. Because this is when it happened. This is when I changed everything. He got out of the car. Marcus followed, shivering in the cold morning air. Michael walked to the gym entrance. He pulled out a key. The principal had given it to him yesterday. The door unlocked with a click, and they stepped inside. The gym was dark. Michael flipped on the lights. They buzzed and flickered before flooding the court with harsh white light. The empty gym felt enormous and strange. Michael walked to center court and stopped. He looked around slowly like he was seeing ghosts. The morning after I got cut, he began, I woke up at 5:30 a.m., just like today. I couldn't sleep. My eyes were still puffy from crying. My chest hurt. But I got out of bed, got dressed, and I rode my bike here. To the school? To this gym. I had asked the janitor for a key a few weeks earlier. Told him I wanted to practice early sometimes. He gave me one. So that morning, the morning after the worst day of my life, I came here. Michael walked to the equipment room and pulled out a basketball. He bounced it once. The sound echoed through the empty gym. I walked onto this court at 6 a.m., and I made myself a promise. What promise? That I would come here every single morning before school, every day, for as long as it took. Marcus's eyes widened. Every morning? Every morning, 6 a.m., before anyone else was awake, before classes started, before the team that cut me even arrived for practice, I would be here working. Michael dribbled the ball slowly, walking toward the basket. I worked on everything. My shot, my dribbling, my footwork, my speed. Everything Coach Herring said I wasn't good enough at, I practiced until I became great at it. He stopped at the free throw line and turned to Marcus. I wasn't tall, so I couldn't rely on my height. I had to make my jump shot perfect. I shot 500 free throws every morning. 500. My arms would be shaking by the end. My fingers would hurt, but I did it anyway. Michael demonstrated his shooting form, knees bent, elbow in, follow through. The ball swished through the net. I wasn't the fastest, so I ran suicide drills until my legs burned. Up and back, over and over. I did defensive slides until I could move like water. He showed Marcus the footwork, sliding side to side, his body low and controlled. I wasn't the strongest, so I did push-ups and sit-ups, hundreds of them. Right here on this court, I carried my textbooks in a weighted backpack to build my shoulders. Marcus watched in awe. His father moved like he was 15 again, showing him exactly what he'd done in this gym decades ago. But here's the thing, Marcus. Michael stopped and looked at his son. It wasn't about making the team the next year. That wasn't the point. It wasn't? No. The point was making a promise to myself that no one else could break. Not Coach Herring, not the other players, not anyone. I promised myself that I would work harder than anyone else, that I would turn my pain into power. He passed the ball to Marcus. Every morning I came here. Rain, snow, didn't matter. Sick, tired, didn't matter. Christmas morning, I was here. My birthday, I was here. Every single day for 2 years. 2 years. 2 years. Until I made varsity as a junior. And even then, I kept coming. Because by that point, it wasn't about basketball anymore. It was about who I was becoming. Michael walked closer to Marcus. The advice I gave myself that morning, the promise I made, was simple. The person who beats you is the person who works while you're sleeping. So wake up before them. Marcus gripped the basketball tightly. But there's more to the advice, Marcus. More than just waking up early. That's only half of it. What's the other half? Michael opened his mouth to answer, then paused. His phone buzzed in his pocket. He pulled it out and his face changed immediately. No, he whispered. What? What's wrong? Michael's jaw tightened. He looked at Marcus with worry in his eyes. It's your brother, Julian. He's in the hospital. Marcus's heart dropped. What happened? Your mom just texted. He collapsed during basketball practice. They're at Memorial Hospital. We need to go. Now. But Dad, you were about to tell me. I know. Michael was already moving toward the door. I'll tell you, I promise. But right now, we need to get to your brother. They ran to the car. As Michael peeled out of the parking lot, Marcus looked back at the gym, now dark again. His father had been about to tell him the rest of the advice. The complete lesson. The thing that changed everything. But now Julian was in the hospital, and the secret would have to wait. Marcus stared out the window as they raced toward the highway. His mind was full of questions. What was the rest of the advice? What was his father about to say? And more importantly, was Julian going to be okay? The 2-hour drive felt like 20. Michael drove fast but steady, his hands gripping the steering wheel so tight his knuckles turned white. Marcus sat in the passenger seat, his stomach twisted in knots. Every few minutes, Michael would check his phone at red lights, looking for updates from Juanita. He's going to be okay, Marcus said, though he wasn't sure if he was trying to convince his father or himself. Michael said nothing. His jaw was clenched, his eyes fixed on the road. Marcus had never seen his father look scared before. Michael Jordan didn't get scared. He was fearless on the court, confident in everything he did. But right now, driving toward the hospital where his oldest son lay in a bed, he looked terrified. They pulled into the hospital parking lot at 9:47 a.m. Michael didn't even park properly. He just stopped the car near the entrance, and they both ran inside. The emergency room was busy with people waiting, nurses rushing around, phones ringing. Michael went straight to the front desk. Julian Jordan, where is he? The nurse typed on her computer. 3rd floor, room 312. Take the elevator. But Michael was already moving. Marcus ran to keep up. They found the room at the end of a long hallway. Through the window, Marcus could see his mother sitting beside a hospital bed. Julian was lying there, awake but pale, with tubes connected to his arm. Michael burst through the door. What happened? Juanita stood up, tears streaming down her face. "He's okay. He's okay now. But Michael—" Her voice broke. Julian turned his head toward them. He looked exhausted, his eyes red. "Hey, Dad. Hey, Marcus." "Julian." Michael moved to the bedside. "What happened? Your mother said you collapsed." A doctor stepped forward from the corner of the room. She was a tall woman with gray hair pulled back in a bun. "Mr. Jordan, I'm Dr. Patel. Your son experienced severe dehydration combined with exhaustion. His body essentially shut down during practice." "Shut down? What does that mean?" "It means he's been pushing himself too hard for too long, not eating enough, not sleeping enough, not drinking enough water. His body couldn't take it anymore." Michael looked at Julian with confusion and concern. "Why would you do that? You know better than that." Julian's eyes filled with tears. "I was trying to be like you, Dad." The room went silent. "What?" Michael whispered. "I heard about what you did, how you practiced every morning at 6 a.m., how you worked harder than everyone else, how you never quit, never stopped, never rested." Julian's voice cracked. "I thought that's what you wanted from me. To work that hard, to push that hard, to be great like you." Michael's face crumbled. He sat down heavily in the chair beside the bed. "Julian, I never asked you to—" "You didn't have to ask. You're Michael Jordan. Everything you do is legendary. Every story about you is about working harder, being tougher, never giving up. So I started waking up at 5 a.m., practicing before school, practicing after school, staying up late watching film. I stopped eating lunch so I'd have more time to shoot. I stopped hanging out with friends because I thought I needed to train more." Juanita put her hand over her mouth, sobbing quietly. "I just wanted to make you proud," Julian whispered. "I wanted to be worthy of the name Jordan." Marcus stood frozen by the door, listening. His brother had been doing exactly what Marcus thought he should be doing, working until you couldn't work anymore, sacrificing everything for basketball, being obsessed with greatness, and it had put him in the hospital. Michael reached out and took Julian's hand. His voice was thick with emotion. "Son, I am proud of you, so proud. But not because of basketball, not because you practice hard or play well. I'm proud of you because you're you. You're kind. You're smart. You're a good brother, a good person. That's what matters. But you always talk about hard work, about never giving up, about—" "I know," Michael interrupted. "I know what I talk about. And I've made a mistake." Everyone in the room looked at him. "I've spent so many years telling the story of how I got cut and how I worked hard and how I succeeded. But I left out the most important part of the story, the part I was trying to tell Marcus this morning before we got the call." He looked at Marcus, then back at Julian. "I taught you boys how to chase greatness, but I forgot to teach you how to protect your peace while you're chasing it." Dr. Patel stepped forward. "Your son needs rest, proper nutrition, balance. He can keep playing basketball, but not like this. Not at the cost of his health." Michael nodded slowly. "I understand." The doctor left and the family sat together in silence. Julian fell asleep quickly, exhausted. Juanita kissed both her sons and went to the cafeteria to get coffee, giving Michael and Marcus a moment alone. Michael stood and walked to the window. He stared out at the parking lot below. "I did this," he said quietly. "I taught you boys the wrong lesson." "Dad, it's not your fault." "No, Marcus, it is. I told you about waking up at 6 a.m., about working harder than everyone else, about using pain as fuel. But I never told you the rest." He turned around. "I never told you what it cost me. I never told you about the birthdays I missed, the friendships I lost, the times I pushed so hard I forgot why I was pushing. I never told you that winning doesn't mean anything if you lose yourself in the process." Marcus moved closer to his father. "What were you going to tell me? This morning? In the gym? What's the rest of the advice?" Michael looked at his sleeping son, then at Marcus. "Sit down. I'll tell you everything." Actually, looking back at the outline, Marcus sat in the stiff hospital chair while his father remained standing by the window. The room was quiet except for the steady beep of Julian's heart monitor and the soft sounds of his breathing. Michael pulled out his phone and stared at it for a long moment. "Before I tell you the rest," he said, "I need to make a call. There's someone who needs to hear this too." "Who?" Michael dialed and put the phone on speaker. It rang twice before a voice answered. Mike? Everything okay with Julian? Marcus recognized the voice. It was his Uncle Larry, Michael's older brother. He's stable, resting. But Larry, I need to tell you something, and I need you to listen. I'm listening. Michael sat down finally, the phone between him and Marcus. Do you remember the night I got cut from the Laney basketball team? There was a pause. Of course I remember. You locked yourself in your room, wouldn't talk to anyone. I wrote a letter that night about using pain as fuel, about working harder than everyone else, about proving people wrong. I remember that letter changed your life. It did. But Larry, I never told you what happened after. What those 2 years of 6 a.m. practices cost me. Another pause. What do you mean? Michael's voice got quieter. I mean, I stopped being your brother. I stopped hanging out with you. I stopped going to family dinners because I was always training. I missed your high school graduation because I had a tournament. Do you remember that? The phone was silent for a moment. Then Larry spoke, his voice thick. Yeah, I remember. I'm sorry, I've never said that. I'm sorry. Mike, you don't have to. Yes, I do, because I taught my sons the same thing I did. Work harder than everyone. Never stop. Never rest. And now Julian is in a hospital bed because he took that advice too far. Marcus heard Larry take a deep breath through the phone. Is he going to be okay? Physically, yes, but Larry, I've been thinking about this all morning, about what I've been teaching my kids. I told them how to chase greatness, but I never told them how to stay human while they're chasing it. What are you saying? I'm saying the advice I gave myself at 15 was powerful, but it was incomplete. And I've spent 30 years living with only half the lesson. I became great at basketball, but I lost things too. Important things. Marcus leaned forward, listening intently. What did you lose? Larry asked. Time, relationships, balance, peace. Michael looked at Julian sleeping in the bed. I won championships, but I missed my kids growing up. I broke records, but I broke promises to my family. I became a legend, but sometimes I forgot to just be a dad. The phone was quiet. So what's the complete lesson? Larry asked. What should you have learned? Michael looked at Marcus, then back at the phone. That's what I'm about to tell Marcus, right now. The advice I wish someone had given me. The advice I should have been giving my sons all along. Can I hear it too? That's why I called you, because you deserved to hear me say this 20 years ago, and I never did. Marcus felt tears forming in his eyes. This wasn't just about basketball anymore. This was about his father's whole life, his whole journey, all the sacrifices and victories and losses that made him who he was. Marcus is here with me, Michael said. When I hang up, I'm going to tell him everything. The complete advice, the thing that took me 30 years to understand. But I wanted you to know first, I'm sorry for being the brother who forgot how to be a brother. Mike, Larry's voice cracked. You don't have to apologize, but thank you. Michael ended the call and set the phone down. He looked at Marcus with red eyes. Now I'll tell you, all of it. The advice that could have saved me years of pain. The advice that might save you. Michael stood and walked to Julian's bedside. He looked at his oldest son, pale, exhausted, connected to tubes and monitors. Then he turned back to Marcus. When I found you crying in that parking lot 2 nights ago, Michael began, I saw myself, that 15-year-old kid who got cut, who felt like a failure, who thought his world was ending because of basketball. He sat back down, facing Marcus directly. I knew I had to tell you something I learned the hard way, something that took me 30 years to fully understand. Marcus's heart pounded. This was it, the moment he'd been waiting for since they left home. That morning after I got cut, I made myself a promise. I wrote that letter. I said I would use my pain as fuel, that I would work harder than anyone else, that I would wake up before everyone and practice until I became great. And it worked, Marcus said. You became the greatest. It worked for basketball, Michael corrected. But Marcus, that advice, the advice I gave myself, the advice I've been living by for decades, it was only half complete. What do you mean? Michael leaned forward, his elbows on his knees, his hands clasped together. The advice I gave myself that day was, use your pain to fuel your purpose. Work harder than the person who beats you. Wake up before them. Never quit. Never stop. He paused. That advice made me a champion. It made me rich. It made me famous. It made me a legend. But Marcus, his voice dropped to almost a whisper. It also made me miss things. Important things. Things I can never get back. Like what? Like watching you take your first steps. I was at practice, like your brother's first basketball game. I was at a promotional event, like my own father's last birthday. I was training for a playoff series. Michael's eyes filled with tears. I became so obsessed with using my pain, with proving I was great, with working harder than everyone, that I forgot the most important part of the lesson. What part? Michael stood up and walked to the window again. The morning sun was streaming through now, casting long shadows across the hospital room. The complete advice, the advice I wish someone had told me when I was 15, is this. He turned around and looked Marcus straight in the eyes. Use your pain to fuel your purpose, but never let your purpose cost you your peace. Marcus stared at his father, letting the words sink in. What does that mean? Michael moved closer and sat beside Marcus again. It means yes, use that missed shot. Use the pain of losing. Use the embarrassment. Use the feeling of not being good enough. Let it fuel you. Let it push you to work harder, to get better, to refuse to quit. Okay, but Michael held up his hand. But never work so hard that you lose yourself. Never push so hard that you end up in a hospital bed like your brother. Never sacrifice your health, your family, your joy, your peace for basketball, or for anything. Marcus thought about Julian, lying in that bed because he pushed too hard. When I was training at 6 a.m. every morning, Michael continued, I was so focused on proving Coach Herring wrong that I stopped enjoying basketball. It became work. It became obsession. It became the only thing that mattered. But you won 6 championships. I did, and I'm grateful for that. But Marcus, you want to know what I remember most about those championships? What? Not the trophies, not the rings, not the parades. I remember the moments when I realized I'd missed another one of your birthday parties because I was training. I remember the look on your mother's face when I chose practice over our anniversary dinner. I remember the regret. Michael's voice broke slightly. I remember becoming the greatest basketball player in the world and wondering if I was a good father, a good husband, a good person. Marcus felt tears running down his cheeks. The advice I should have given myself at 15, the advice I'm giving you now at 12, is to find balance. To use your pain, yes. To work hard, absolutely. To chase greatness, of course. But to remember that you're more than basketball. You're Marcus. You're a son, a brother, a friend, a student, a person who deserves to be happy, healthy, and at peace. Michael reached out and put both hands on Marcus's shoulders. When you missed that shot 2 nights ago, your worth didn't change. Your value didn't decrease. You're still the same Marcus you were before that game. Basketball doesn't define you. Your last name doesn't define you. Your wins and losses don't define you. Then what does? Who you are when nobody's watching, how you treat people, whether you can look in the mirror and like the person looking back at you, whether you can work hard for your dreams while still protecting your joy. Marcus wiped his eyes. So I should still practice? Still work hard? Absolutely. Work like a champion. Push yourself. Get better every day. But Marcus, Michael's grip on his shoulders tightened slightly. Never work so hard that you forget to live. Never push so hard that you break. Never chase greatness so obsessively that you lose sight of goodness. He glanced at Julian. Your brother thought he had to destroy himself to make me proud. He thought being a Jordan meant sacrificing everything. And I taught him that. By my example, by my stories, by only telling him half the lesson. What's the full lesson? Michael took a deep breath. The full lesson is this. Be disciplined, but be kind to yourself. Use your pain, but don't let it use you. Chase your dreams, but not at the cost of your humanity. Work harder than others, but rest when you need to. Be great at what you do, but be good at who you are. The hospital room was silent, except for the rhythmic beeping of Julian's monitor. Marcus looked at his father, Michael Jordan, the greatest basketball player of all time, and saw something he'd never seen before. Not a legend, not a champion, not an icon, just a man, a father, someone who made mistakes and learned from them. Someone who won everything but still lost things that mattered. "Is that what you were going to tell me in the gym this morning?" Marcus asked. Michael nodded. "That's what I was going to tell you. That using pain as fuel is powerful, but you have to protect your peace while you're doing it. That greatness without balance is just another form of failure." He stood up and looked out the window again. "I caught you crying after a loss, Marcus, and that's okay. It's okay to cry. It's okay to hurt. It's okay to care so much that losing breaks your heart. But it's not okay to let that pain turn you into someone who forgets how to be happy. Someone who sacrifices everything for a game. Even basketball, especially basketball, because at the end of the day, basketball is just a game. But your life, your health, your family, your peace, those things are real. Those things matter forever." Marcus stood and walked to his brother's bedside. Julian was still sleeping, his chest rising and falling steadily. "I don't want to end up here," Marcus said quietly. "Then don't. Learn from him. Learn from me. Use the complete advice, not just half of it." Marcus turned back to his father. "Can you write it down? Like you wrote down your letter? So I can remember it?" Michael smiled through his tears. He pulled out a notepad from the hospital nightstand and a pen. He wrote carefully, his handwriting older and steadier than it was at 15, but still recognizable. When he finished, he tore out the page and handed it to Marcus. Marcus read, "Use your pain to fuel your purpose, but never let your purpose cost you your peace. Work like a champion, but live like a person who knows there's more to life than trophies. Be disciplined, but be kind to yourself. Use your pain, but don't let it use you. Dad." Marcus folded the paper carefully and put it in his pocket. "I'll keep this, like you kept yours." "Good. And Marcus, whenever you feel like giving up, read it. Whenever you feel like pushing too hard, read it. Whenever you forget who you are underneath all the pressure, read it." Julian stirred in the bed. His eyes fluttered open. "Dad?" "Marcus?" They both moved to his side. "How are you feeling, son?" Michael asked. "Tired, really tired." Julian looked at his father. "I'm sorry, Dad. I just wanted to make you proud." Michael's face crumbled. He leaned down and hugged his oldest son. "Julian, you've always made me proud. Always. And from now on, I'm going to tell you that more often. Not just when you win, not just when you play well, but every day, because you deserve to hear it." Julian started crying. "I love you, Dad." "I love you too, son. So much." Marcus watched his father and brother embrace, and something shifted in his chest. The missed shot didn't seem so important anymore. The championship loss didn't feel like the end of the world. It was just basketball, and he was just Marcus, and that was enough. 3 months later. The gymnasium at Roosevelt Middle School was packed again. It was the first game of the new season, and the energy was electric. The scoreboard showed Roosevelt 64, Lincoln 63, 12 seconds left on the clock. Marcus stood at the free throw line, the ball in his hands. He'd been fouled going to the basket. 2 shots. If he made both, Roosevelt would be up by 3. If he missed them, Lincoln would have a chance to tie or win. The crowd was on their feet, the same crowd that had watched him miss the championship shot 3 months ago. Some of them probably remembered. Some were probably waiting to see if he'd choke again. Marcus bounced the ball once, twice. He looked at the rim. Then he thought about the advice. Use your pain to fuel your purpose, but never let your purpose cost you your peace. He took a deep breath. His heart was racing, but it wasn't the panicked racing of 3 months ago. It was focused, calm. He thought about his father in that gym at Laney High School, practicing alone at 6 a.m., working hard, getting better. But he also thought about Julian in that hospital bed, about what happened when you pushed too hard, when you forgot the second part of the lesson. Marcus bent his knees, elbow in, eyes on the rim. Work like a champion, but live like a person who knows there's more to life than trophies. He shot. The ball arced through the air and swished through the net. The crowd erupted. Roosevelt 65, Lincoln 63. Marcus caught the ball from the referee. One more shot. But before he took it, he glanced at the stands. His father was there, sitting next to Julian. His brother had recovered fully and was back to playing basketball, but differently now, with balance, with joy, with peace. Michael caught Marcus's eye and gave him a small nod. Marcus turned back to the free throw line. He bounced the ball, and in that moment, he realized something important. If he made the shot, great. If he missed it, that was okay too. Either way, he was still Marcus, still valuable, still enough. He shot. The ball went in. Roosevelt 66, Lincoln 63. The buzzer sounded 12 seconds later. Roosevelt won. The celebration was loud and joyful. Elijah ran up to Marcus and jumped on his back. "You did it! Those free throws were clutch!" Marcus laughed, but he wasn't crying with relief like he might have 3 months ago. He wasn't feeling like his world had almost ended. He played hard. He made the shots, and it felt good, but it wasn't everything. After the game, Marcus changed out of his uniform and found his family waiting in the hallway. His mother hugged him tight. "I'm so proud of you, baby." "Thanks, Mom." Julian gave him a high five. "Nice game, little bro. Those free throws were ice cold." "Thanks. How are you feeling?" "Good, really good." Julian smiled. "I've been following the advice too, you know. The complete advice. Playing ball, but also living life. It's better this way." Michael put his hand on Marcus's shoulder. "You played well tonight." "Thanks, Dad. But you know what made me most proud?" "What?" "When you were standing at that free throw line, you looked calm, peaceful, like you knew that win or lose, you'd be okay. That's what greatness really looks like." Marcus smiled. "I learned from the best." That night, Marcus sat at his desk in his bedroom. He pulled out a journal, a new one his father had given him the week after they returned from Wilmington. "Write your own journey," Michael had said. "Don't just live my story. Create yours." Marcus opened to a blank page and began to write. "Today I made 2 free throws to win the game. Everyone will probably remember those shots, but that's not what matters to me. What matters is that I'm learning to be Marcus Jordan, not just Michael Jordan's son, but myself, my own person with my own story. 3 months ago, I missed a shot and I thought my world was ending. I cried in the parking lot because I felt like a failure. But Dad showed me something important. He showed me that even the greatest people fail. Even legends get cut from teams. Even champions cry. But what separates people who give up from people who keep going is what they do with the pain. I'm going to use my pain to get better. I'm going to work hard. I'm going to chase my dreams. But I'm also going to remember that I'm more than my wins and losses. I'm more than basketball. I'm a son, a brother, a friend, a student, a person. I'm going to work like a champion, but I'm going to live like someone who knows there's more to life than trophies." Marcus paused, then wrote one more thing. "Thanks, Dad, for the advice, for all of it, for showing me that being great isn't just about winning. It's about becoming someone you're proud to be." There was a knock on his door. "Come in." Michael opened the door and leaned against the frame. "Writing?" "Yeah, writing my own letter, like you did." His father smiled. "Can I read it?" Marcus handed him the journal. Michael read silently, and when he finished, his eyes were wet with tears. "This is perfect, Marcus. This is exactly right." He handed the journal back and sat on the edge of Marcus's bed. "You know what?" Michael said. "I carried my letter in my wallet for 30 years, and it helped me. But I think yours is better." "Why?" "Because mine was only about using pain and working hard. Yours is about balance, about being whole, about protecting your peace while chasing your purpose. That's wisdom it took me decades to learn, and you already have it at 12. Marcus felt his chest swell with pride. "You're going to be great, Marcus, not because of your last name, not because you're my son, but because of who you're becoming. Someone who works hard but rests well, someone who chases dreams but keeps their humanity, Someone who uses their pain but doesn't let it use them. Michael stood and walked to the door, then turned back. I love you, son. I love you too, Dad. After his father left, Marcus folded the journal page carefully and put it in his wallet, just like Michael had done with his letter 30 years ago. It would stay there, a reminder, a promise, a beginning. 10 years later. Marcus Jordan stood in the middle of the Roosevelt Middle School gymnasium, looking up at the rafters. He was 22 years old now, a college senior who played basketball at a small Division II school. He was good, really good, but he wasn't his father, and he was okay with that. He'd been invited back to speak to the current basketball team. As he waited for the students to arrive, he walked to the spot where he'd missed that championship shot all those years ago. It felt like a lifetime ago, like a different person. The gym doors opened and about 30 middle school students filed in, sitting on the bleachers. Some looked excited, others looked nervous. One girl in the front row had red, puffy eyes like she'd been crying recently. Marcus knew that look. Hi everyone, he began. My name is Marcus Jordan. I went to school here 10 years ago. I played on the basketball team just like you. A boy raised his hand. Are you Michael Jordan's son? Marcus smiled. I am, but that's not why I'm here today. I'm here to tell you about the worst day of my basketball life and what I learned from it. He told them about the championship game, about missing the shot, about crying in the parking lot, about feeling like a failure. The students listened quietly. The girl in the front row leaned forward. My dad found me crying that night, Marcus continued, and he took me on a trip. He showed me where he got cut from his high school basketball team. He told me about the pain he felt, and then he gave me advice that changed my life. He pulled out his wallet, worn and brown, just like his father's. From it, he removed a folded piece of paper, yellowed with age. I've carried this with me every day for 10 years, through high school, through college, through wins and losses, and everything in between. He unfolded it carefully. The advice my father gave me, the advice I'm giving you now, is this. Use your pain to fuel your purpose, but never let your purpose cost you your peace. The gym was silent. Life is going to knock you down. You're going to miss shots. You're going to fail tests. You're going to lose games and lose confidence and feel like you're not good enough. And when that happens, you have a choice. He looked around at all the young faces. You can let that pain destroy you, or you can use it to build something better. But here's the secret. The better you're building isn't just about winning. It's about becoming a person who can win and lose with grace, who can work hard and rest well, who can chase dreams and keep their peace. After his talk, students came up to ask questions. The girl from the front row waited until everyone else had left. I missed the game-winning shot yesterday, she said quietly, her voice trembling. Marcus knelt down to her level. He saw himself in her eyes, 12 years old, heartbroken, feeling like the world was ending. Tell me what happened, he said gently. As she talked, Marcus listened, really listened, the way his father had listened to him in that car 10 years ago. When she finished, he smiled. Want to hear a story about the time my dad got cut from his high school basketball team? Her eyes widened. Michael Jordan got cut? He got cut, and it was the best thing that ever happened to him. Let me tell you why. As Marcus shared his father's story and his own, he realized something profound. The advice wasn't just changing his life, it was changing others' lives too. And that's what made it worth carrying all these years. So that's the complete advice Michael Jordan gave his son. Use your pain to fuel your purpose, but never let your purpose cost you your peace. Now I want to hear from you. Where are you listening from? Drop your city and country in the comments below. If this story touched your heart, hit that like button and subscribe to this channel to help us spread more kindness and inspiration to people who need it. And don't stop here. Click on the video appearing on your screen right now for another powerful story that will change the way you see life. Thanks for watching. Remember, work like a champion, but live like someone who knows there's more to life than trophies.